Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video day, and today I'm going to be doing my NFL Week 3 power rankings as Week 3 is beginning tonight in just about 30 minutes. Well, you might be watching this, and it might be during the game. It probably could be after the game is over, but the New England Patriots, the New York Jets are starting off Week 3. It's going to be a fun Week 3 schedule. You got 12 day games on Sunday in the early and late afternoon. And then you got a Sunday night football game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Atlanta Falcons, as we will see Kareem Hunt return with the Kansas City Chiefs, which will be interesting. And then we'll also see Kirk Cousins make his Falcons home debut. Then on Monday night, we have two Monday Night Football games. It's the Bills and the Jaguars, a rematch of last year's amazing London game, and the Bengals and the Commanders, two Heisman LSU quarterbacks going at it. So it's a fun week of Week 3 football, but can't start off Week 3 without the power rankings. Usually do these on Wednesdays. Yesterday was busy, so I'm doing this today before the game. Let's start 32-1. Let's go. All right, 32, give me the Carolina Panthers at 0-2. Previously number 32. I mean, the Panthers, it was bad in Week 2. Got blown out by the Chargers. I'm going to predict it gets better for them this week in Week 3. It can't get much worse, right? It can't get much worse losing 26-3 and 47-10. It can't get worse. So the reason I think it gets better, I'm not predicting the Panthers to win this week, but I do think we see them put up some more points, and I think the quarterback change is going to be a big thing for this Panthers team. It's nothing against Bryce Young. We saw Andy Dalton last year for a start last year against Seattle for Carolina. He threw for like 340, 350. They put up 27 points, which was one of the highest scoring totals for them of all last season. And they lost 27-37 against the Seahawks. I could see the Panthers putting up 20 points in this ball game. I do think this Raiders defense is a little bit better than the defense we saw from the Seahawks last year. That's nothing against the Seahawks defense. I just think this year's Raiders defense is better than last year's Seahawks defense. So we'll see how Andy Dalton does with this Panthers offense now that he's, under center. Here's the other thing for me is I think this offense is a little bit better since last season. He still has Adam Thielen throwing the football to him. He has Deontay Johnson, Xavier Legette, the guy they just drafted. So, I mean, like last year was Adam Thielen and DJ Chark. So I'm going to predict that the Panthers do get better this week, but I think they still lose, and they're very bad. All right, 31, got the New York Giants, 0-2, previously number 31, so they stay at the same spot. They lost to the Commanders 21-18. I mean, their defense actually didn't look too bad just because of the fact that they limited the Commanders to 7 field goals, so the Commanders could not get into the end zone. And Daniel Jones didn't look too terrible, and Malik Neighbors looked good. But Daniel Jones, for as high as he's being paid, he looked okay, but not as good as you want him to be. Malik Neighbors looked really good, but the Giants are still sitting at 0-2, and now they're about to play one of the best defenses in the NFL. 30, I got the Tennessee Titans 0-2, previously number 29, lost to the Jets 24-17. Yeah, it was pretty brutal last week for the Titans. That's all I'll say. 29, I got the Denver Broncos 0-2, previously number 28, lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers 13-6. It wasn't that bad a performance for the Broncos defense last week. It was mainly the offense and some of the turnovers for Bo Nix. And so that was rough. All right, at 28, I got the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're 0-2, previously number 20, lost to the Cleveland Browns 18-13. I don't think people should be freaking out necessarily about Trevor Lawrence struggling last week. Quarterback struggle when going against that, Cleveland defense. We saw Dak struggle in week 1, going up against them. Quarterback struggle. We're going to see Daniel Jones look like one of the worst quarterbacks of all time this week going up against that Browns defense. If Daniel Jones is looking bad against the Vikings defense and looking okay against the Commanders defense. If you're looking okay against the Commanders defense, there's problems. The Commanders defense is terrible, and if you're gonna, if you're gonna not even throw for 200 passing yards like Daniel Jones did, last week, there's some problems. I mean, the Commanders defense is still really weak. I think they've made improvements, but they're still not clicking. So for Jones to be all right against them and not, good, he's going to really, really crack against that Browns defense. So I'm interested to see how Trevor does this week going up against the Bills, but I really see them going to 0-3, and especially when that game will be in Buffalo. I got them at 28. 27, I got Washington. They're 1-1. Previously, number 27, beat the Giants 21-18. I'm not moving the Commanders up at all. I'm keeping the same spot. I get they won, but here's the thing. Their defense is still really poor, like I mentioned. Malik Nabers went for 121 yards. Daniel Jones, actually did a solid job against their defense. The week before, Baker absolutely just killed them. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin ran through all their defense. This week, Jaden Daniels in the Commanders' offense cannot get the ball through the end zone. 7 times you had an opportunity to get a touchdown, but all field goals for the Commanders last week. So that's a little bit disappointing. Great for the kicker, right? But, so you got to be better. You need more from Jaden Daniels, if you ask me. You need more from the defense. And now that they're going in, Cincinnati, going up against Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, I feel like those guys have a field day going up against this defense. So I'm not too high on Washington this week. All right, number 26, I got the New England Patriots. They're 1-1 previously. Number 26, also the Seahawks in overtime, 23-20. If you ask me, I thought the Patriots looked good last week. We'll see them tonight, but I thought they looked good just because of the fact that, they showed some good things. The run game still looks really good with Stevenson and Gibson this past week. Jacoby Brissett looks solid. The defense still looks good. I know they gave it 23 points to the Seahawks. That was not pleasant, but that's a hard matchup. For a defense to have to go up against DK Metcalf, Jackson Smith-Jigba, and Tyler Lockett, that's a tough matchup. I think there are only a couple wide receiver trios in this league that's so hard to go up against. There's 3 wide receiver trios. I think it's so hard to go up against. The Texans with Nico Collins and Tank Dell and Stephon Diggs. I think there's the Bears with DJ Moore and Keenan Allen and Rome Odunze. And I think then I would say probably number 1, the hardest wide receiver trio to go up against in this league is probably DK Metcalf, Jackson Smith-Jigba, and also, Tyler Lockett. And there's other guys you got to deal with on that offense as well. You got Noah Fant at tight end. You got Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker at running back. That's a hard thing. That's hard for defense to manage. So, yeah. But I think the Patriots have shown some good things in the first 2 weeks, but we'll see how they play tonight. I'm keeping them at the same spot. It wasn't a bad loss. It was a very close game. All right, 25, I got the Rams 0-2, previously number 12, lost to the Cardinals 41-10. Main reason I'm dropping them so far is just because of the fact that, number 1, this was a blowout loss. Number 2, it's the guys they're losing. Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua both injured. Matthew Stafford playing without those 2 guys. And also third reason was now you're playing the 49ers. I think in all likelihood, they're probably going to 0-3. All right, 24 got the Colts 0-2, previously number 18, lost to the Packers 16-10. Anthony Richardson did not look good in week 2. Now he's facing a very tough defense in the Bears. I don't know. 23 got the Raiders 1-1, previously number 30. They beat the Ravens 26-23. Great win, great performance by Gardner Minshew. 22, I got the Bengals. They're 0-2, previously number 13. They lost to the Chiefs 25-13. It's really hard dropping down this Bengals team so far when they played a very competitive close ball game with the Kansas City Chiefs. But for me, it's hard to have 0-2 teams, so so high. So I had to put them a little bit lower than I'd want to. All right, at 21, I got the Cleveland Browns. Are 1-1 previously. Number 21, they beat the Jaguars 18-13. I'll probably move them up a little bit if they get a win this week, but it was a closer game than I thought it would have been. I think Deshaun Watson needs to do more. All right, 20, got the Arizona Cardinals 1-1 previously. Number 24, beat the Rams 41-10. Great win for the Cardinals. Great performance from Kyler, one of his best games of his career. Marvin Harrison Jr. had a great bounce back. We'll see how they do this week, though, going up against the Lions. But I'm fine moving them up to number 20. 19, I got the Dolphins. They're 1-1. Previously, number 9, lost to the Bills 31-10. Kind of like the Rams for me, moving the Dolphins so far down. Number 1, it's the fact that they got their butts kicked last week, but it's also the fact that they're losing a player, and that's their quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa. They're about to go up against a 2-0 Seahawks team who looks good in the first 2 games on the road. I'm not too confident in them getting a win this week. All right, 18 Bears, they're 1-1. Priest number 16. I'm not going to move them far, too much. I know Caleb Williams struggled, but their defense looks sharp. Their defense looks so good, even with Caleb Williams struggling. The Texans were only able to put up 19 points on the board. A very strong offense we're talking about. And their defense, with Caleb struggling, still managed for this to be a close, competitive game. 6-point game, 19-13 win for the Texans. I expect them to get back on track and get a win this week because of how good their defense has been. We've seen Caleb improve each and every week. He's improved from week 1 to week 2. I think that happens again in week 3. Not by much, but if the Bears can get a win against the Tennessee Titans and Caleb Williams' first game, and with how bad he was playing because of what their defense did, in week 3 with him slowly making more and more improvements, I think they can get a win with their defense against the Colts in week 3. All right, 17, I got the Falcons. Are 1-1 previously. Number 25 beat the Eagles 22-21 on Monday Night Football. It was a great comeback by the Falcons. Kirk Cousins looked good, but if it wasn't for a dumb coaching call, the Falcons are sitting here at 0-2. 16, I got the Seattle Seahawks. Are 2-0. Previously, number 19, they beat the Patriots 23-20 in overtime. Great win for Seattle. I expect them to go to 3-0 this week. 15, the Ravens at 0-2. Previously, number 7, lost to the Raiders 26-23. Honestly, I think this is starting to get into territory for the Ravens where you start to get nervous. They're facing a Dallas Cowboys team this week who just are coming off a loss. Cowboys and Dak Prescott are very sharp at home. I don't expect them to lose back-to-back games at home. So you start to have to wonder if the Ravens fall to 0-3 with their next 2 games being the Bills and the Bengals, they should be very concerned. 14 out of the Green Bay Packers are 1-1 previously. Number 14. I'm keeping them at 14. It was a good win. Their defense looked good, but Malik Willis didn't look too good. It was really just Josh Jacobs killing it and the defense having a good day and Anthony Richardson really not doing anything is the reason why they won. Really wasn't because of the quarterback play, but they won 16-10. I expect them to get another win this week against the Titans. I'll probably move them up a little bit next week if they do get a win. But as of right now, I'm keeping them at the same spot. If this was a blowout win for the Packers, I'd definitely move them up. But since it was a very close game at home, keeping them at the same spot. 13, I got the New York Jets 1-1. Previous number 15 beat the Titans 24-17. It was a good win for the Jets. I want to see how they do tonight against the Patriots. But it was a good win. But I think it was too close for this Jets team going up against the Titans. But we'll see how they do against the Pats. All right, 12, I got the Cowboys, 1-1. Previously, number 6, lost to the Saints, 44-19. It was definitely brutal in week 1. But they got another tough matchup for themselves going up against the Baltimore Ravens this week. Lamar Jackson, the MVP. All right, 11, I got the Chargers. They're 2-0. Previously, number 17, beat the Panthers 26-3. This team looks sharp. J.K. Dobbins looks sharp, leading the NFL in rushing yards. He looks really good. Justin Herbert is not really... they haven't really had to rely on Justin Herbert with how good their run game has been so far, which obviously is a good thing. I think this week you might have to rely on Justin Herbert a little bit more, playing the Steelers on the road, in a road game, and also the fact being that the Steelers are good against the run, so they might have to trust Justin Herbert more. We'll see how that goes for them this week. But I think the defense has looked very sharp throughout the first 2 games, only giving up 13 points in the first 2. Also, run game has looked really good with both Dobbins and Gus Edwards. If we can start to see Herbert, build some more chemistry with his younger wide receivers. The Chargers team is dangerous, if you ask me. At 10, I have the Eagles. They're 1-1, previously number 4. Lost to the Falcons 22-21. People might be upset I still have the Eagles in the top 10, but the way I look at it is they were playing without A.J. Brown, number 1. Number 2, Saquon Barkley still looks very good. I know there was the mix-up at the end of that game with the drop, but so far he's looked really good to start off this season. Hurts, outside of the interception to end off the game last week, he's looked really good this season. I think if you don't have bad coaching decisions like they did at the end of that game, the Eagles, are still a good team. You need to get A.J. Brown back for starters. And number 2, you cannot do stupid stuff like you did last week. Going for a pass on 3rd and 3 in field goal range with the other team having no timeouts and 1 minute and 45 seconds on the clock. Cannot do that. And I think Saquon probably would have gotten the first down for the Eagles right there if they ran for the ball. Now, with how good Saquon Barkley has looked is one of the reasons why I still have the Eagles in the top 10. If Saquon Barkley has looked, if he was playing terrible football through the first 2 games, the Eagles might be in the 15-20 area. So he's the only reason why I still have them in the top 10. All right, 9, I got the Lions. They're 1-1. Previous number 5, lost to the Bucks, 20-16. It was a tough loss, but the Bucks look amazing. Let's see how the Lions do this week against Arizona. At 8, I got the Steelers 2-0, previously number 10, beat the Broncos 13-6. I'm excited to see how they do with a real test this week. The Falcons were they were playing a good team in week 1 for sure, but they were playing a quarterback who was playing his first game back from tearing his Achilles. That's definitely not a great way. It's not a great. I'm not going to say it's not a good win, but I'd love to see them face Kirk Cousins now that he's a little bit more comfortable. Sure, the Steelers could still win that matchup, but I think it's a different matchup for sure. And last week it was against a rookie. I think the Steelers are a good football team, but I want to see them go up against a real challenge, and I think they're doing that this week going up against the Chargers. At 7, I got the 49ers. They're 1-1, previously number 2, lost to the Vikings 23-17. Not too concerned about the 49ers. The only thing that concerns me are the injuries. You got CMC on IR. You have Debo out for a couple weeks. You got George Kittle a little bit banged up. You've been able to find bright lights at the end of the tunnel with Jordan Mason. He's looked really good. It's really unfortunate. I feel like right now with Debo getting injured, this would have been the perfect time for Ricky Pearsall to step up and make a name for himself. But unfortunately, his incident happened, so he's also out. So right now for Brock, it's really the only guys he has to get the ball to are Brandon Ayuk and Juwan Jennings at the wide receiver position. And then I guess, Jordan Mason is still there, but he's not really throwing the ball a lot to Jordan Mason. I think a guy that if this week, if George Kittle's out this week going up against the Rams, a guy that the 49ers are going to rely a lot on without Kittle and without Samuel I'm making a prediction, will be Kyle Juszczyk. But if the 49ers want to beat the Rams, even with the Rams being without Puka and Cooper Kupp, I'm going to say this right now, the 49ers need to get Brandon Ayuk involved, especially without Debo. All right, at 6, I got the Vikings. They're 2-0 previously, number 23. That's one of the teams that has the biggest jump this week. It was a great win, 23-17. I think for a quarterback in Sam Darnold, who has been considered a bust, to go up against the best defense in the NFL, arguably, or one of the best. I'd probably say top 3, or I'd probably say the 2 best defenses in the NFL are number 1, the Browns, number 2, the 49ers. So to go up against one of the best defensive teams in the NFL, and for Sam Darnold to play like the way he did last week, Justin Jefferson have a great game like he had, and them get the win. And not just the offense doing a great job against their defense, but their defense having a great game against that 49ers offense really showed some good things last week. So I had to put them in the top 10 and had them at 6. And to me, I couldn't put the 49ers over the Vikings. I couldn't do that. They beat them last week. They're 2-0. The 49ers are 1-1. Couldn't do that. 5, I got the Saints are 2-0. Previously number 22, beat the Cowboys 44-19. Saints look good. They look really good. Derek Carr looks amazing. Alvin Kamara looks amazing. This defense looks good. There's no reason for the Saints not to be in the top 5. At number 4, I got the Bills. They're 2-0. Previously number 8 for me. Beat the Dolphins 31-10. With their dominant Thursday Night Football performance last week on the road, you better bet I'm moving them up. At number 3, got the Houston Texans at 2-0, previous number 3. I'm a Texans fan, but it wasn't the brightest performance. Beat the Bears 19-13, but there were some struggles for the offense. And the next 2 teams I have at 1 and 2, I just don't see my Texans being over them right now. At number 2, I got the Buccaneers. They're 2-0, previously number 11. Beat the Lions 20-16. Last week I had the Lions at number 5. So for the Bucs, to me, to beat a top 5 team on the road, that's for me, last week I had them at 5, but a lot of other people consider them a top 3, top 4 team in the NFL. A lot of people going into the season considered them the second best team in the NFC. I like the Lions. They're great. I'm not saying they're not good, but the Buccaneers went into Detroit and beat them. Baker dominated. The run game looked good. The defense looked good. So, I'm going with the Buccaneers at 2. And number 1, it's obvious. It's the Chiefs at 2-0. Had them at 1 last week. I think for them to start off the season, not just be the NFL champions, but also the fact that they have started off their season by beating 2 good teams. I know it's two good teams that are 0-2 in the Bengals and the Ravens, but one of the only reasons those 2 teams are 0-2 right now is because of this team, and that's the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't think everything has been great for them so far. Travis Kelce's been terrible, and having him in fantasy, I am pissed, and I really hope he starts to pick it up. I'm really starting to regret that decision. I'm praying Sunday night he wakes up. But anyways, there have been things about this Chiefs team so far this season where you have concerns about. Pacheco's injury, I think, is very concerning, but you pick up Kareem Hunt. There are other injuries on this team as well. Travis Kelce struggling, but even with all of that baggage, they have still managed to beat 2 very good teams in the Bengals and the Ravens. Honestly, if it wasn't for the fact of these 2 wins, if they were if the Chiefs had beaten 2 bad teams or 2 average teams, I would have one of the following of the Bucs, the Texans, or the Bills, or maybe even the Saints at 1, or not the Saints, but it'd be one of the Texans, the Bills, or the Bucs potentially at 1 instead of the Chiefs. But it's the fact that they've beaten these 2 good teams 2 weeks in a row, doing a great job against 2 really good teams in Cincinnati and Baltimore. But I think it's going to be an interesting task in Week 3 on Sunday night going up against the Falcons. They got a good defense. They got a great quarterback in Kirk Cousins. They got a great running back in Bijan Robinson. And they're going to be doing something for the first time this season, and that's going to be going on the road. First 2 games were at home. So the Chiefs, for me, I think their seat is hot because I think the Falcons are coming to play on Sunday Night Football. Let me know your thoughts on my NFL Week 3 power rankings in the comment section, and peace out.